Want to expand your speaking and storytelling skills and grow your influence business? This is Speakipedia Media, brought to you by Speakipedia.com. I'm your host, Dave Bricker, bringing you straight talk and smart strategies from visionary speakers, thought leaders, and storytellers. Today's guest has a degree in broadcast production along with formal training in improvisation. She graduated from the Second City Training Center in I.O. Chicago. She helps thousands of professional speakers build better businesses and become better speakers by creating valuable live and virtual educational programming opportunities. Please welcome National Speakers Association's Director of Online Learning, Maureen Mahoney.
Hey, Dave. So happy to be here.
Thanks, Maureen. So let's dive right in. You're part of the team at the National Speakers Association. That's the NSA that talks, not the NSA that listens.
Yes.
So what's NSA all about and how did it get started?
Celebrated our 50th anniversary summer, our conference. We have a big conference every summer. It was started through a former Toastmaster, Robert, somebody who went through Toastmasters, and he was a speaker and realized that this was an industry and there were hundreds of speakers in the day, and there was no place for them to go to. So they had the Bar Association, but there was really nowhere for just professional speakers to go to. So formed in 1973, and kind of that was history. So we've been around and really helping professional speakers build better businesses and to become better speakers. It's a place where all of these entrepreneurs can come and network and connect with one another, learn about industry trends from a speaking standpoint, and learn from each other. That was the biggest piece of that. And Cabot always said, there's going to be a piece of pie for everybody. And if there's not enough pie, we're going to build a bigger pie so everybody can have a piece of it. So that falls along with our abundant generosity value. That's kind of how it all started. They were just looking for a place for people to connect and share best practices with one another.
And that's certainly what happens. I mean, the people factor is off the chart, and it's important because who outside of your speaking colleagues has any idea what you actually do for a living if you're a speaker? People go, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a speaker. And they say, oh, motivational speaker. And it's like, well, I guess, I mean, we all have to motivate, but there's so much more than that. So there's incredible camaraderie within the organization.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned Toastmasters. Mm-hmm. I know I've been a Toastmaster for many years, and I've also been involved with NSA for 11 years. So how are these two organizations different and complementary?
Absolutely. So, like I said, our founder was part of Toastmasters. I used to be part of Toastmasters as well. It's an amazing organization for anybody who wants to become a better public speaker. I know from many jobs ago, that was recommended to me just to be a better speaker in like team meetings. So you see a lot of people in Toastmasters who don't want to be professional speakers. They just want to get better at speaking for their job. There's a lot of people who come in as international speakers who just want to learn English to speak better. There's just a wide range of speakers in the Toastmasters community. Now, where NSA comes in is you want to build a business around that message. Now, you've gone beyond speaking at those team meetings, at company meetings. You're really finding that could maybe be a lucrative opportunity for you. So that's where NSA comes in, and that's where we help you build a sustainable business around that message. That's kind of that difference of Toastmasters versus NSA.
Yeah, Maureen, someone asked me that question once, and I said, Toastmasters is for professionals who want to speak, and NSA is for people who want to speak professionally.
Yep, exactly.
So with that said, there's one other bit of confusion because we've got Toastmasters and NSA and people aren't sure of the difference. And then we have GSF, the Global Speakers Federation, which is connected to NSA, sort of.
I was just having this conversation last night with our director of events, Candace York. Cavett was instrumental in helping found GSF as well from the international perspective. So GSF is the Global Speakers Federation. Under the Speakers Federation are these arms of the National Speakers Association in the U.S. or
CAPS in Canada,
CAPS in Canada, Australia, many associations that fall under that GSF globally. So if you're a member of NSA, it doesn't mean you're a member of GSF, where
Right.
you are an international speaker.
I bring it up because some of our listeners may be in Australia or the UK,
Yeah.
and they're thinking, well, that National Speakers Association is an American organization, but there are equivalent organizations in many different countries. So
Absolutely.
if you're in Canada, you're always welcome to join NSA, but
Yep.
you might want to join the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers, CAPS, and you can find those various organizations on the Global Speakers Federation website. As individuals, we don't really become members of GSF, but NSA is a member of GSF and CAPS is a member. And they do
Yep.
have a big convention in a different part of the world every year, which I haven't
Yes.
been to, but it's on my bucket list.
Yeah, I know. And this year is in Bali.
Oh, well,
You know,
forget it.
If you're a professional speaker, whatever country that you're in, I mean, I would recommend joining that organization, because you're joining that organization, you're going to now have access to all of these other organizations across the world. Now, if somebody's a member of CAPS and that's through GSF, you can become a member of NSA at a discounted price. So there's a lot of perks in being involved in the association, that whatever country that you're in, because you want those trends, and then you have access to that network.
So we've got National Speakers Association, and like you say, that's connected to other associations around the world, and that can even open up speaking opportunities for you. So that's a wonderful network that a lot of people don't even think about. They're attached to their local organization.
Yep.
So another thing is, so many people think of speakers as keynoters, someone who stands on a stage in front of an auditorium or a stadium and does their bit. Maureen, I was a university teacher for 15 years. I wish someone had tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, Bricker, you're a professional speaker." At the time, I was teaching 4-hour classes. Even with breaks and assignments and things, I was speaking more every week than almost any keynoter. And I had no idea I was a professional speaker. I think that there are a lot of people who may wake up to the fact that they're professional speakers, courtroom lawyers, podcasters, and YouTube influencers, trainers, teachers, salespeople. And what does NSA have to offer to some of these folks?
Absolutely. That's what I'm on a committee at my college, and told all the professors and staff, I said, unfortunately, you're all public speakers, whether you like it or not. You know, if speaking is the majority of what you do, that counts. NSA has what is this, the Certified Speaking Professional Designation, the CSP. And a lot of people don't know that they can qualify for that, because and especially talking about teachers and professors, I mean, you're speaking every day and you're getting paid a salary to do that. And that counts as part of that. You have to submit paperwork and prove that you've spoken, videos of, you speaking in front of an audience. But if you're speaking on a regular basis, NSA can help you with that message even further. I mean, talking about professors, a lot of professors have written books, and that's a form of the speaking industry. And we can help you. We have so many intelligent authors and publishers that are connected to this community that can kind of help you take that to the next level. And I think vice versa, the speaking community can help the education community help the speaking community. That's where it all kind of comes together, where we're helping each other. Just because you're making a salary speaking doesn't mean you don't qualify for all of these things. Just because you're not like a typical entrepreneur, but you still have a message that you're giving to your audience, whether they're students or children or grown adults.
And they are an audience, and we don't think of them that way, right? And it's important. I'm not a CSP, and had I learned about NSA earlier, I would have walked in and said, I qualify. Now I'm timed out of that. I've got to rebuild that qualification. But back then, I could have walked in my first year and just said, okay,
Yeah.
I'm ready. So that's a big advantage to people who, if you're teaching something in a classroom, theoretically, it's valuable to people on the outside. And if it's not, maybe you should be teaching something else. Teachers, I mean, it's not that the pay is so great as a teacher, but you get insurance and benefits and things. Why not build a professional speaking practice on the outside? And the way to do that, to learn that business, is, I think, to connect with National Speakers Association, find the people who are already doing that and learn from them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Some underrepresented constituencies in the NSA community that would benefit from it tremendously. Let's
Yes.
go back and talk about some of those podcasters and influencers a little bit more. Some people don't need to be on the big stage to be on the big stage these days. They're there on YouTube, but they still need to be strong presenters, and they
Yeah.
still need to know how to monetize their message. I've watched NSA shift and change quite a bit to cater to podcasters and YouTubers and some of these speakers who tend to trend a little bit younger than the keynoters. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, especially when you were talking about like YouTubers. Oh, I got so many downloads, or, I have millions of views on my YouTube. Well, depending on what you're doing, I heard this in the CSP meeting where it says likes does not equal dollars. And I think just because you have this incredible presence on social media does not mean that actually translates to actual money success, right? You really want to sustain that message throughout the life of your career. So we're going to teach you how to build that sustainable business. And there's so many different types of business models out there. I mean, just because you're doing a podcast, like what else are you doing around that brand or within that you can monetize? And maybe that's like a membership subscription. Like, what does that mean? Or coming out with like a book based on your experience in this podcasting industry, or whatever your message is. How are you taking that message and monetizing that where it's like a well-oiled machine? So there are people that have done this and they're sharing their wealth of information through NSA.
You could go way down that rabbit hole, of course, of social media and things like that.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, like, I have a friend who's a YouTuber who has over 200,000 subscribers, which is great.
Yeah.
But I asked, what's your email list like? And I get the blank stare, and I'm thinking, okay, here's someone who's really doing a great job cultivating a following, but they're not encouraging people to take that next step, go to their website, join a mailing list so they can download whatever it is or participate in the workshop. And so if YouTube ever decided to change the algorithm or said, we don't like you anymore, that evaporates. So
Yeah.
if you, and it's just that kind of advice. We've got people in NSA who specialize in building a social media following or a YouTube channel or whatever. We'll talk more about chapters, but these are the kind of folks who do workshops at NSA events or who go and visit chapters and share their knowledge. And that's the kind of thing that you get out of NSA that you're never going to get out of Toastmasters.
You're going to get more actionable things to help you make money for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is not putting Toastmasters down
No.
at all.
No, but that's not their focus. Their focus is on making you a better speaker. And
Exactly. I still go to Toastmasters every Wednesday night.
I love it.
And people say, oh, aren't you a bit advanced for that? And I always say that Toastmasters is the only place I know where I can rent an audience for $2.50 a week. That's a tremendous compliment because you have to work on your business skills and you also have to work on your presentation skills. And you put those together, now you've got something that's going to change hearts, minds, and fortunes.
Absolutely. And I mean, if you think about it, Jerry Seinfeld still goes to open mics. Dave Chappelle goes to open mics because they're crafting their material every day. And Toastmasters is a way to do that in a live audience setting, or they do have hybrid options as well. At NSA, we do a monthly open mic, and it's a little different from like a comedy open mic, but it's been so valuable because members will come in and they're like, I don't have anything to speak on today, but I've been working on a keynote, and can I just riff on some stories that I'm working on? Yeah, great. And then we all kind of jump in and we're like, let's problem solve kind of your issues that you're having on your keynote, or here's some ideas that we thought of that you could implement in there. And it really becomes kind of a brainstorming for the speaker, but it's also so helpful for everyone else on that call. Listen to the feedback and to give feedback, because we're giving you just tips on how to be successful within your keynote, but then to help you book more gigs, right? And I love that open mic. And I think you should just constantly be, if you don't have a booked gig that week, where are you going to talk, or what are you practicing?
And this is on Zoom, by the way. This is just a member benefit. I certainly try to not to miss that. I had Scott Lesnick on this podcast not all that long ago when we were talking about the whole comedy thing. And when you go to Netflix and you watch Jim Gaffigan or someone who's just fun, you're watching all of the jokes that didn't bomb in the clubs.
Yep.
You get to see, that's the filtered stuff. So you got to keep going, keep practicing, get out there. And whether you're speaking at Rotary clubs or Toastmasters or whatever it is, it's not all about, oh, I'm too hoity-toity for practice.
No, I'll tell you.
It's like saying, I'm already in shape. Why should I go to the gym?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, you're going to get out of shape at some point. It's kind of mentioning, so my brother's actually the producer of Beavis and Butthead. And the SNL, Saturday Night Live did a just recently on Beavis and Butthead, and it was a total hit, and I didn't even know that it was going to be a sketch. My brother told me that particular sketch had been in rehearsals for years, till they had the right cast members to do that. They had rehearsed it for years. And it finally made it to air, and it killed. But it was that practice of like, it's not right yet. And then finally it hit. So I just think of stuff like that, like you said, they've been working on this stuff for years and years. And you've probably been working on your keynotes for years, or you've been thinking of a keynote for years, but it's just like not right yet. Well, NSA, that's where you're really going to find the magic of coming to these events. There is somebody, oh God, I mean, it really is magical when that happens. And I see it virtually all the time, but also coming to the live events too, is those hallway conversations. That's the key right there.
Completely agree with you. So for anyone just joining us, you're tuned into Speakipedia Media for aspiring and professional speakers and thought leaders who want to make more money by changing hearts, minds, and fortunes. My guest today is the National Speakers Association's Director of Online Learning, Maureen Mahoney.
Yay.
Yay!
I'm so glad to be here. It's so glad to be here with you, Dave.
Let's also talk a little bit about what NSA is not, because I've spoken to a couple of people, and I'm always enthusiastic about NSA, and they say, well, I joined and I didn't get any speaking gigs from this. NSA isn't an agency or a bureau, is it?
We will not book you gigs. This is a professional association for people to grow their business and learn from one another. Now, we do partner with bureaus and meeting planners. I mean, we're talking to them all the time. We're going to have a great panel at Influence, our upcoming conference, with some speakers bureaus. And we do this every year because we want to know what speaker bureaus are looking for and what are the hot trends and topics of what's happening right now. Also meeting planners. I mean, people booking speakers in their respective industries. That's why we have things like we have a podcast, Speakernomics, talking about stuff like that too. And we're not going to get you booked, but we're going to help you find those avenues and get you in touch with the right people, or have a resource for you in our digital vault, our online learning platform, for you to help get into the door of those places, but we don't actually book you.
Right. And I've just seen people get disappointed for the wrong reasons because they have the wrong expectations. So I thought that was worth bringing up. So
Absolutely.
another thing, and we've got NSA, which is the main association, the mothership,
Yep.
and there are chapters
Yeah.
of NSA, local chapters all around the country. And I know that in Florida, we've got the Florida Speakers Association, we've got NSA Central Florida and the Orlando area. Before we get into the benefits of joining a chapter, talk about some of the benefits speakers receive by becoming a full NSA member.
From a national perspective, you're going to get that national footprint, and you're going to be networking with a lot more people that are in spaces that may not have a chapter, but you're going to get access to things like we have a monthly virtual networking that we do. We have our open mic, like I had mentioned. We do have special webinars every once in a while on either how to build a business or how to be a speaker. I mentioned our digital vault. Our digital vault is packed with content, like 50 years worth of content. We've got contract templates to help you figure out what contracts you need, or if you it's just like templates to kind of help you in your business. And then we have all kinds of like member donated content from members, and like I said, conference recordings. We have all kinds of great information in there that we're slowly kind of transforming into more like e-learning, and trying to we're building roadmaps for you. And it's like this evolving platform that is really amazing and powerful. So you have access to that. And like just the type of caliber of content on it is really phenomenal. I mean, that is really priceless because you're getting so many Hall of Fame speakers and their best practices, how to package your content and how to price it out and so forth. So you're going to get a lot of that. We have new member cohorts. So when you join at NSA, we'll put you in like a 6-month or year cohort where you get to network with new members and learn about all the various aspects of NSA and have the guest speakers come in. And so it's really like there's a lot going on. And I mean, then that's just all virtually. We've got our in-person conferences. We have our 2 big conferences a year. And then if you get your CSP, we have a CSP summit, and that is an amazing conference as well.
Another one is you've got some partners, some relationships with some partners who offer fantastic deals that pretty much offset the costs of membership. There's things like a really ridiculously low price Zoom subscription that you can get. There's I believe some insurance, health insurance and business insurance benefits and things that you can subscribe to that have been negotiated. Talk about some of those benefits because there's some professional value there that's important.
Absolutely. So, I mean, like you said, the Zoom benefit, you have to pay for it, but it's like if you were to do this by yourself, it's like a $2,000 investment per year. If you're a member of NSA, you pay like $395 and you get a whole the platinum plan of Zoom. And also speakers. We have a great partnership with eSpeakers. And when you become a member, we give you like a profile within eSpeakers that you can fill out. Takada is another speaker that we have that's for referrals and capturing leads. We have a partnership with them. Constant Contact, that's another partner that we have discounts for marketing automation. Speaker Flow.
Then there's also the chapter level. Now, some people don't have a chapter near them. And there's like, I know Florida Speakers Association, we're not going to fit everybody's time zone. We meet pretty early if you're in California.
Sure.
Our networking starts at 8, our meetings start at 9 a.m. But many of the chapters are hybrid if there's not one near you. I'll let you explain the benefits of joining a chapter. I know I've been on the board for our chapter for years. I've spent 3 years running the Speaker Academy for our chapter, and I've met some incredible speakers, but now I'm talking for you. So go ahead and
No, when I talk to somebody who calls into NSA and they're not a member and they're like, I want to be a professional speaker. I mean, the first question I ask them is where they're located, because I always recommend you check out a chapter first. The chapters are amazing. I think from a local level, that's a great opportunity for you to meet other professional speakers in your area and to network and to really get into that community locally. A lot of our chapters also offer, like you said, the Speaker Academy. That's something that we don't do nationally, but from a chapter level, that is an amazing program put on by the chapters of really introductory to you've been a speaker, but you want to learn how to monetize your business. You go through a chapter speaking academy, and like you said, a lot of the chapters do have a virtual auction. You can become a member of a chapter that's not local to you, but they are a chapter. I love the chapters from that grassroots standpoint and from really getting involved locally and just getting the guidance of somebody in your own backyard. And I think that's the first step. And then we start talking about making that kind of bridge to national. Once you kind of, you're like, all right, I kind of got like, I've got the local stuff down. I've got my business is going. I'm getting going. All right, I want to take this up a notch. I want to speak more nationally and globally. That's where the NSA National is going to help introduce to a lot of those other kind of areas.
And look, I'll just go ahead and say it. We're speakers. We're weird people. We need to connect with people, ideally in our neighborhoods,
Absolutely.
who are trying to climb the same mountain we are, and to go to those meetings. If you show up, it's not very long before you're connected to this very friendly, very generous, very smart community of weird people like yourself. And on both a local and a national level, the generosity of people. I mean, I know Hall of Fame speakers. I can call them up. It's not because I'm anybody special. It's just because, oh, you're an NSA? Oh, you're in my chapter? You're family. Sure, I'll bust out an hour for you. I wouldn't be in the speaking business without NSA and without my chapter. I just would never have made it as far as I have.
Yeah, I came from the financial services industry before NSA. And after my first influence, I was totally blown away. I was like, I have a staff member, and it was my first influence. It was the first time I was meeting people in person for the first time. And this was kind of during COVID still. And our members could not be more generous and with their time and expertise. We call it the spirit of Cabot. And it's just kind of this abundant generosity, uplifting humanity, elevating excellence. We're all different flavors, and clients may not need your flavor right now, but you may know somebody that you can introduce, and they will introduce you to people. The community is really important. This can be a very lonely industry, and we don't need to recreate the wheel. Like, somebody is doing it really successfully, and that's where you're going to find those people in NSA, and they're going to help you get to that level because they've done it. And you don't have to do this alone. Like, you don't have to do this alone, because this is where the NSA community really helps.
Yeah, and how many people successfully build any business alone? Not many. You've got to have mentors and friends and supporters, and so absolutely. I think this is the biggest.
There's too many people telling you no. Getting that support for sure.
Yeah, we need people to say, that's the craziest idea I've ever heard in my life. Go for it.
Let's do it. Yeah, exactly.
And
it might work.
It might work. And if it doesn't, so what? You'll bounce off and do something else. So you've been talking about influence, but NSA produces 2 big live events every year. And before we get to influence, tell us a little bit about Thrive. And that's going to be in Orlando, Florida next year.
It is. Somebody told me that Thrive is NSA's best kept secret. I love Thrive. Influence is like our big marquee event in the summer. And it's like just flashy and big. And it's like drinking water from a fire hose. But Thrive, it's in the winter. We kept the registration. Influence can be like 1,000 people. But Thrive can be like 250. We keep it small because you're really kind of rolling up your sleeves and working on your business. It's like let's get to business. We're going to meet people, but it really is more, it's very simple, and it's all about the content. All about the content for you to take action and go home and implement those things. that's what Thrive is really about, is just kind of working more on building a better business. Whereas Influence, we're going to talk more about becoming a better speaker. We are going to talk about building a better business, but we do add more of that speaking standpoint to Influence. Whereas Thrive is really more like, let's get you $1 million business. Let's work on this. Let's figure this out and get going. So that's where the benefits of Thrive is. It's just like that smaller, more intimate conference.
And Influence, which is the big freak show, that's going to be happening in Denver this August 2024. Yep. Now, I usually don't go to conferences unless I'm speaking at them, but I never miss this one. This is going to be my 11th. So tell us a little bit about what's going to be happening at Influence this summer.
We have a bunch of speakers. We're going to have the amazing Les Brown. He's going to be our opening keynote. He is a Hall of Fame speaker. If you don't know who Les Brown is, Google him. He's the best.
He's a legend.
He's a legend. We've got a whole bunch of, we got Lenora Billings Harris, who is going to talk about D&I. She's a D&I strategist. We just talked with David Arvin on Speakernomics. David Arvin, he's a GSF member, but he talks more about speaking business and give you tips through that. So, and then we have Speaker Bureau panel. Different Speaker Bureau are going to talk about what their insights are. So that's really a great panel too. But there's also going to be surprises and all kinds of things. This is where also we induct our Hall of Fame speakers. We have a big gala at the end of every Influence. And last year, I was so excited because my man, DC Glenn from the tag team sang "Whoop, There It Is" at the gala. And it was amazing. And just everybody at the end, and especially staff, like that's our big relief, on the dance floor. I don't even know some of the surprise. I don't know who gets Hall of Fame. We the Cavett is our big award that we award to every year. That is a big secret. The staff doesn't even know who was awarded until the night of the gala. It's our big event.
Yeah. And I'm gonna fill in. There's the part that doesn't get promoted, which is, look, I am by nature a shy, introverted person, as many speakers are. That's not unusual.
Yes.
There are very few environments I can think of where I look forward to going to the dining hall and sitting down at a table with a bunch of people I've never met before.
Yep.
To do that to myself on purpose is extraordinary, but I meet the most amazing people. Whatever's going on the stage is usually brilliant, but whatever's happening in the hallways at the dining hall, it's like that's the stuff that moves the needle.
That is so true, Dave. I mean, some of the best conversations I have been with people through passing at Influence or rubbing shoulders with Hall of Fame speakers. Everybody is so wonderful, and they'll talk with you. And you're totally right. Going to a conference, if you're an introvert, and there was a time in my life where the thought of just going into the exhibit hall just by myself gave me such anxiety. But we have programs for new people, to an ambassador program. So you have somebody to sit with. Anybody new to the conference or to NSA will partner with you with somebody who's been to a conference before, just to make that less anxiety inducing. I will say, I think you just have to keep coming. That's just where the magic happens. It's just kind of keep showing up, and then you're going to just start getting introduced to the most incredible people.
Yeah, we don't have time for the whole story, but I actually went to my first Influence convention. I had a speaker who was a client. I was helping him with his book. He actually flew me to San Diego to play a joke on his wife. I was part of a practical joke. I didn't know anything about NSA, and I've never missed a convention since. So I just fell over backward into it.
But there you go. Yes.
But yeah, you never know where you're going to end up. Maureen Mahoney, thank you for joining me today. This is always fun. Before we wrap up, tell our viewers and listeners a bit about where they can learn a little bit more about NSA, find their local chapter, and register for Influence 2024.
Absolutely. NSAspeaker.org is where you can find all the information. We have, you can find all of our chapter location. You can register Influence 24. You can register for Thrive 25. Check it out at NSAspeaker.org is where you'll find all of what we talked about today.
Maureen, you rock. Thanks so much for spending
You
the
rock.
time with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I love talking with you, Dave. This is great.
Likewise. So, I'm Dave Bricker, inviting you to explore the world's most comprehensive resource for speakers and storytellers at Speakipedia.com. If you're watching this on social media video, please love, subscribe, and share your comments. If you're listening to the podcast, keep your hands on the wheel, stay safe, and I'll see you on the next episode of Speakipedia Media.